Hey crafty family, it's me, and today we are going to do some texturing. That is right, we're going to make some visual texture, and I've got some examples here like this very textured looking patterns. Over the past few weeks I've been inspired by several things. I was watching a video where people were using various things for texture, and then Secret and I were talking about it, and she was experimenting with things, and then I watched Barb Owen, her last live stream. She had Seth Apter on, and they did some texture. She did some texture things because he talked about that, and she talked, and after he was gone she did some texture things with some interesting stuff. So I was just inspired to do texture by so many things and so many people that I just was like, gotta make some texture. You know, you just get to that point where you just gotta do it, and you know, you get some cool things. So first things first, I'm a realist. Yeah, I had to do that. Let's work on these index cards, because I'm trying to work on index cards because I like to hold on to these and use them for various things. So let's work on some index cards. And first things first is, if you have one of these small paint rollers, you can take a toilet roll, you know, like an empty toilet roll, and cut it down the center of it, and then wrap it around and kind of tighten it, and then hot glue it. Because if you just put the empty toilet roll over, it'll be a little too big. But if you cut it and then kind of make it a little smaller, it'll fit perfectly. And with that, you can, where'd my one go? Uh-oh, did I lose it? Where did it go? Is it over there? Yeah, it's over here. So anyway, I made one with a piece of foam. It's like that thin foam that you get in packaging sometimes. It's super thin. And, you know, I did a sloppy job, but it does the job. It's just a piece of foam. You can take it and take some paint. Let me get some paint. Here, let's use some metallic paint. Let's use some fun metallic paint. And put that down on a mat. You all know I love my metallic paints. And you just roll it. I don't know if you could see that I'm just rolling this, and then rolling it on and getting texture that way, which I'll do 2 of these. And obviously, you know, you want to layer with a few different colors because it looks nicer when you layer with a few different colors. But how cool is that? Very cool. So there's one layer of that. We can let that dry and come back to it. And it gives a lot of nice texture, which is great. Which is exactly what you want on your paper. So let's wipe this all clean now and move on to the next kind of texture. Also using the roller. And they make those rolling stamps. I have some. I haven't used them on video yet, I don't think, but I will. I'm planning on doing some stamping things as well. But this is a good video for the beginner mixed media artist who doesn't have a lot of money and wants to make some nice things. So this is going to help you make some texture without having to buy a lot of things to do it. Now, secondly, with another rolling pin thing, or a rolling toilet paper roll, you can use foam and put it around it. And what I had done, and see, the only problem is this foam wasn't thick enough, because you can like embed with a like a tool, a stylus tool or something, make little hearts and stuff. But the foam, this foam wasn't quite as thick. So what I ended up doing instead was something else that you can do, and that's take rubber bands, but it's best if you do this while it's on the roll, because once you take it off, it'll collapse the cardboard. So you want to do this while it's on the roll. And you don't have to cover it with foam first to do this. You could just do this right out of the cardboard, you know, just cut it to fit. And you just want to take some rubber bands and I'm trying to, it's hard to do it without actually being off camera to do it. But you just want to apply rubber bands all over your thing, and I would normally put more than that, but just for example purposes, that is plenty. And then let's get a paint color. Let's get a teal color. And if it's a thicker paint, add a little bit of water, and this way it'll be a little easier to work with. And then just take a palette knife and make yourself a little palette type of thing. And roll your paint. And now you're not going to get obviously a perfect impression. The point is to get just random lines like so. And if you do enough layers of it, it'll make some cool texture. Like I can take and make these lines over top of this to give added texture. And that's kind of the point. So that's a great way to give your project some texture on the cheap. And if you do it and then let it dry and then add a different color, let it dry, add a different color, and just keep doing that, you will have some cool things. So, okay, let's, I don't know where to put this right now. Okay, let's put it over here for now. I'm trying to get it out of the way temporarily. Okay, now, let's put that aside. Fun, fun, fun. Another thing that you can do to build up texture and make some really cool looking designs. Let's wipe this and dry it. It's really wet. This thing is... Alright, let's get that dry. Maybe if I put a little water under this, it'll keep it from sliding so much. Another thing you can use to add texture is foam. Just like I put it around the toilet paper thing, you can add foam. Also, another thing about putting the foam around, not necessarily this kind, but the kids' foam, you could put it around and then cut random shapes out of the foam and stick it to it and then make your own foam stamps. So I didn't do that, and I don't have any more toilet paper rolls, but that's what you could do with this fun foam that's on here. When you can just take the fun foam and then cut other shapes out and glue it to the roll and have stamps, which I haven't done that, but pretty self-explanatory there. So I'm gonna get another piece of paper. Hold on a second. Why am I having struggles here finding a piece of paper? Here we go. I'm going to use bigger pieces of paper for this now. Just 2 pieces or 1 piece? This is 1 piece. It feels like it's 2 pieces, but it's 1 piece. So with this is just a block of foam. Like literally like from packaging. And then this kind comes, like this particular one came with my phone. It's like a thin piece of foam, but it's very, very pliable, whereas this one is a lot stiffer, and it has like the little flaky bits that come off of it. So, it just depends on what you like and what you want to use. But let's see. Let's get some some like brown color, and we'll try it with this and a little water, just a squirt of water, and a palette knife makes it helpful. Where'd the palette knife go that I was using? I don't know, so I'll get another one. It just helps spread it out. So that you can then tap your foam in it and get impressions. And it gives a very textured impression. I probably didn't put enough paint down. Let's try a different color too. Let's see. Hold on. But it gives you some really cool texture that you can't get with most anything else. It's very hard to get, you know, a really cool organic texture like this with something that's, you know, just random. And you get some really cool background effects, which I really like. And then it's easy to take care of. You could just wipe it off and you're ready to go for another color. So that's an easy way, and you can keep using that over and over again till it literally disintegrates and falls apart, which they last pretty long actually. Another cool way to get texture is, like I said, with this thing, which is really groovy. Let me grab some more paint. Let's get some orange. And I just usually add a squirt of water just to help spread it out a little bit, because sometimes these paints are thick. And you don't want it to kind of build up and be all goopy. You want to spread it out like a, you know, like an ink block kind of. And then you can put on layers with this. How cool is that? And I'll even do it on this. And these also work great on your jelly plates. So, you know, you can use these for texturing your jelly plate. And then we'll let that dry and we'll add another layer, because that's fun. Yeah, layering is like key to making some really cool stuff. So as things dry, we will go back with another layer. We've used foam and we've used all kinds of things, but what about burlap? Burlap, now this is something I have done for many years, and I had this, which is a block of wood that I had gotten a while ago, and it was a leftover cut from something I was doing, and I had glued actually I glued a piece of pink fun foam, doesn't matter what color it is, fun foam, and then I glued burlap over top of it. And this is a stamp, and it is amazing. I love this stamp. That's how I got the things I showed you in the beginning. This is one of my favorite things to use. It was buried in my little cabinet thing because everything kept pushing it back as I would add things in the cabinet. So I had to go searching for this because I almost couldn't find it. But this is one of my favorite ways to make texture, is with burlap. And it's really, really easy and really, really fun. Again, you just need some paint, and I'm just going to grab some of this green paint and a little water. And then you just dip it in, and you press down on your paper, and what happens is, obviously, it leaves the texture behind. But what's really cool is, look at all the little flecking, like there's hairs in it. That's the cool thing about burlap, is you really get some really cool texture because it actually looks like burlap on the paper. And so you do a layer, and then you know, do another layer over top, do another layer over top, until eventually, and I'm trying to find something I can layer something over. I can even layer over this and just add some really cool kind of texture and just get some interesting things. And I will pick another color and layer over that as well, because it's a lot of fun. We'll let that dry, actually. And now it's a little harder to clean off this thing, because you need like a baby wipe, and you just give it a little scrubbing, and that's how you would clean it off. But, you know, it's not that hard. It's not that difficult. It's just after a while, you've been using the same piece of burlap, you have to, you know, like, you know, over time, it'll eventually not leave as good of a mark. So you're going to want to replace the burlap. Or what you can do is just glue a piece over top of this. So just make sure this is dry. You can glue a piece over top of it. So like I was saying, I was watching Seth Apter. And I love Seth Apter. He's one of my favorite grunge mixed media artists. And he's one of the first people that ever turned me on to like what grunge was, because I did stuff like that. Like I said, when I was a kid, I used to do weird grungy stuff, but he is what made me really like learn and see these different things and Rust and all that stuff, and how to do all this stuff. All this grungy stuff. He's what basically the first artist. I seen him in a magazine, and there was some techniques and stuff in there, and that really helped me as a mixed media artist, and I really love his style. And so I was excited that he was on Barbowen's show. However, I didn't get to see it live. I don't know, that sucked. I wish I could have, because I would have loved to ask him a question. So I've got this canvas, and that's what they were using. Barb was using, well, he was showing her, and then, or talking about it, and then she had demonstrated it, where she takes a piece of raw canvas. Now, this is canvas crap. I didn't mean to get that dirty. This is canvas that's been treated on one side, and it's not treated on the other, and it's the untreated side is the better side because it's got a little more texture. But I'm not sure how good this is going to be in all, because of the fact that it's not really like canvas. I mean, it is. It's canvas. I don't know. I can't explain it. It's not like off the roll or anything. But we're going to try, and we're going to cut this out, and we're going to make, on the other side of this stamp, I'm going to glue this piece of canvas down. And make another side to this stamp. And I'll save this, obviously, for projects in the future. So I'm going to see if I can find a piece of foam. Uh-oh. I should have had that on the ready, because I do like to put a piece of foam down to get a better impression. Hold on a second. Let me see. Oh, here we go. There we go. I got some foam. And how I like to do it is I just take some Aleene's tacky glue. That works for me. And I just put a whole bunch on the wood like so. And then take a palette knife, this one will work, and spread it out like I was spackling or doing something of that sort to get it really even, get an even coat of the glue onto the surface of the wood. And then once you do have a pretty even surface of it, you can put this on. We'll cut it to size later, but for now I just want to get it on there. And I'm going to get it so that I only have to cut two sides. That'll make it a lot easier. There we go. So now we're going to let that dry for a little while, and then we can come back. Well, actually, we could put the canvas right on top of there. I don't have to let that dry to do that. What did I do with it? Oh, here it is. This time I'm going to put the glue on this, since this is pretty much cut to the right size. It'll make it easier. Don't forget, I'm putting the glue on the treated side because it looks like it's pre-gessoed or something. And this way I can have the unfinished side up, which is what we want. I'll wipe any glue that comes on the front of it because I don't want glue on the front, for obvious reasons. Now I'm going to line this up the best I can with the corner and the side here. And I will take a baby wipe quickly and wipe any glue that showed up on the front of the canvas, which I don't want. Now they didn't do it this way. Barb had just taken the piece of canvas and painted on it and then turned it over and did it that way. Whereas I'm making a stamp because, you know, and now it'll be easier for me to deal with having the stamp rather than holding onto a full sheet of canvas somewhere in my craft room and losing it and what have you. So this way I'll have a stamp always and forever of exactly what I need. So now the only thing left to do is to cut off the excess, which I can do that. And we can use it right away, even though it's still wet. We're going to use it right away just because we're going to live dangerously. But if you're doing it at home, I advise you to wait for the glue to dry, okay? But because I'm a rebel and I will be as careful as I can not to wiggle it around, I'm going to use it now. So let's see, we want to use a clean sheet of paper. Now what they did was they used black gesso, and that's what we're going to do, because we're going to do several different things. We're going to do several different layers. So what I'm going to do is shut off the camera, get things cleaned up, get all my equipment I need, a piece of paper and whatnot, so that we can do this. I might use a piece of watercolor paper or something of the sort. So I will be right back. Okay, so now we are going to make some black gesso using some clear gesso. And all you need to do that is a little cup. Trying to get this so it'll stop knocking over. Stay there. And using clear gesso, which I need to stir, I'm sure, because it always likes to settle. Okay, once it's stirred up, then you could put some in a cup. And you can't really make black gesso out of white gesso. You can only make it out of clear gesso because clear gesso is basically, because white gesso has white paint in it, which means if you add black paint, it's just going to make gray gesso. You're never going to get actually black gesso out of it. So that's never a good idea because you will spend endless hours trying to mix it to become black, and it will not. What I like to use is a mixture of printer ink to make it black and paint. Now it's going to look gray until we mix some other things, some paint in it and all that, and get it really, and obviously my paint is nice and gloopy for some reason. Black paint and I do not get along. It is just gloopy, 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 and I don't know why. Like every black paint I've ever owned gets very, very gloopy and gross. I don't know why. But anyway, keep mixing. Now, normally I would add some more calcium carbonate or marble dust to this, because as you add more liquid, you want to add more of your marble dust. So if you were making, if you were actually making black gesso and you wanted it to have some real tooth to it, this is not going to have very much tooth to it because I'm adding paint and I'm adding ink, so it's thinning it out even more. But for what we're doing today, that's fine. That's totally fine for what we're doing today. And honestly, it doesn't even have to be like pitch black, because like I said, for what we're doing today, it's fine. So we've got it pretty black now. And like I said, I would add more marble dust at this point, however, which would thicken it up a little bit as well, but I don't have it on hand. It's in the closet and I don't feel like getting it out because I'm lazy. But you at home, if you wanted to make true black gesso, you would add more marble dust to this. But if we're just doing it as a background for texture, we really don't need to. So it's actually fine. Okay, now that I've got black all over my hands and whatnot, now we're going to take a paintbrush and we're going to paint our piece of cardstock with our gesso. Which is pretty black considering. Got it there pretty well. I'm going to give it a good coat. And I have a recipe online for the clear gesso, by the way. Just do a search in my video section for the clear gesso. And from there you can make black and white gesso just by adding more paint, adding white paint for white gesso and adding black paint for black gesso, and upping the marble dust by 3 or 4, like 3 more tablespoons than what it was to make the clear gesso, and voila. Alright, I'm going to dry this Yeah, this definitely is not acting like black gesso. It's too shiny. It doesn't have very much tooth because, like I said, I would have had to have added some more powder, marble dust in here for it to be truly gesso-like. But for what we are doing, this is perfectly fine. I mean, you could just slap some black paint down for what I'm doing. Honestly, didn't need to even worry about gesso, really. But anyway, there is some tooth to it, so regardless, there doesn't have to be though. You can, like I said, for this you can just use black paint is fine. So we're going to get some texture, and we're going to use the canvas. Let's get some color. Since I haven't used it yet, I'm going to use some pink. Just because we haven't used it yet. And this time, like they were doing on, well, like Barb Owen was doing, she was painting it on to the canvas. So I'm going to take a paintbrush and I'm going to paint it on and then print it. And see if that makes a helpful difference. I'm not sure it will. I think I can just dip it in there and it would work just fine. But we'll see. Ooh, nice. Probably get a couple of prints out of that just by doing that. Very nice, very nice. Get some really cool texture. Very nice. Now, I would imagine if you want to clean this, you can just take a baby wipe and get enough of it off to put another color down. It doesn't have to be perfectly clean. But I'm sure that's enough. Like so. Clean enough. And so now we could put another color down. What color should we use? Let's put some yellow. Let's put some yellow down. This time I'm going to do it my other way that I usually do it, which is dipping it into the paint by watering down a little bit of paint and using a palette knife, if I can find a clean one, to spread it out and mix with the water. I need a little bit more paint. And I got a paint chip in there. And this way, tap it off a little and go for it. And this is really nice because it gives some very interesting texture. Without having to think too much about it. That looks good to me. Take another baby wipe. Now before I think too much, I'm going to move this aside to let it dry a little bit. And remember this orange sheet that we had here, I could see if I could pick up any of the paint onto it and add some down on our orange. So you can just go back and forth with your different methods and lay down paint and experiment by adding different layers. So when you get one, you get another, and so on and so forth. And let's see, clean this off. You want to keep your tools fairly clean, this way they don't contaminate each other between layers of paint, and also they don't wear out as fast. So let's see, we've got this looking pretty cool. We can do something else with this. We can roll some more paint on it. Another metallic color. And this one we can just roll. Give it a metallic sheen. That looks good for that layer. Let's see, what else can we do for this? Let's add some metallic to that. We can add some metallic blue, which I think would look pretty cool. We can add it with this. Just a little bit of water in that one. And wiggle this one around. Just to add some extra something to it. That looks really cool. And that just made that perfect in my eyes. That looks good just the way it is. I'm not going to touch that anymore. But also keep in mind that it doesn't have to be a blank piece of paper that you're adding this texture to. There's not much left on here right now, but you can take some dictionary and book pages and add some really cool elements on those as well. But you do want to take the time to clean them a little bit. You don't have to go crazy. Just a few wipes. Pat it dry. Just to keep it, you know, you want to keep it so that it lasts a while. You don't want to have to change it in a week, you know, or every time you use it or something. You want to make sure you keep the buildup of paint off of it so that it doesn't wear out and the little ridges and everything that make it so cool don't get filled in by paint. Let's go back to this one and add something cool to this. How about we add the same metallic blue, even though I just cleaned it off, but we'll use it on the canvas. That's what I was trying to think of. We'll use it on the canvas side. And you can hold it from underneath if you want to get specific areas with color on it. Because of course it's never going to stamp perfect. But you can help it along, and there ain't nothing wrong with that. And you get something like that. And then that can dry, and then we can layer it again. It's all about layers. Layers make things nice. Layers is what gives things the depth that they have. Like if you look at something like, you know, like a mixed media project of somebody that you really like, the likelihood is that they used a ton of layers. You don't necessarily have to be a brilliant artist to figure out that layers is the most important thing. You know what I mean? Like, so they probably used a ton of layers, which is what gave them the look that you like so much about their project. Layers, layers, layers. So let's hit this with the heat gun real quick. And let's add some metallic red with that same, we'll just add a drop of water. Not much, just a little. And we'll do the same canvas pattern, but we'll do it with this metallic like red. I'm going to hit this with the heat gun. Now if we want to turn this grungy, we can start adding some grungy colors. Like if we want to add some metallics, we can add a copper metallic to grunge it up. Put a little water. Everything I own is falling on the floor because I have about a 2 foot by 2 foot space to work in. I dream of moving somewhere and having more space so that I'm not confined, so I can move my arms around a bit. That would be nice. And I like to lift it up and really get some of that paint on there. Even though it can be dark and splotchy in spots, it's still awesome. But we're going to proceed to grunge this up a little. And in order to do that, we gotta start darkening our colors a bit. Okay, I had to change my battery again. If it's not one thing, it's another. I cannot wait until I sell my house and buy a camera that records for 2 hours straight with no interruptions, where I don't have to stop and restart it or change the battery or any of that. I'm going to make sure I buy a camera that can record video for up to 2 hours non-stop without a battery change, without the memory filling up. That is my goal in life. That is a weird goal to have, but that's my goal in life. Is that sad? That's sad. I'm going to put some brown paint down and I'm going to darken it up a little bit with this other brown. Or just kind of make it two-toned when I spread it out like this. There's so much texture on here. It looks so cool. You would think this piece of paper was a piece of canvas. That's how cool it looks. Now we're going to add that dark brown without anything mixed in. Just got to have faith in the process. It's a long process, but in the end, the texture that you get out of this is really nice. And it becomes something pretty amazing. You just got to work through it. And keep adding and keep adding and keep adding. Because in the end, what we want is to have the colors show through. We don't want them completely gone, but we don't want them to be so incredibly vibrant anymore. We want them to be very muted colors. Now we're going to go back to our black, and since we still have it here, we're going to use it. Black gesso, black paint, whichever you want to use. If you can't see what I'm doing, it's because I'm holding it up and doing this and just kind of really getting a lot of texture on there. And I like the fact that it's kind of leaving these lines around it from the outside edge. I really like the lines that it's leaving. I'm okay with all of that. I think it looks cool. Every time I press this down, it's leaving more and more and more of the texture behind. It's to the point where the dried parts is literally starting to feel like canvas. Okay, I really like that. Now let's put some of this texture. I have enough of this black left. Let's add some of it to here. Give it a whole new feel. Don't be afraid to do stuff like this when you're working on one piece. Always have some book pages or any kind of paper lying around that you can add some color to with the leftover, because you can't always perfectly lay down the perfect amount of color, obviously, so you're always going to have some sort of texture or some sort of paint left over. Sorry, my brain was on texture. My brain is thinking texture. And my hands are dirty. I do have dirty hands. quite the mess to clean up. Okay, let's go back to this, which is looking lovely, because look at that. Now you've got this very kind of grungy, industrial looking, let me dry it because it'll look better dry. And so now, as you can see, this looks flipping amazing. This is so cool looking. I love it. It is so grungy and cool, and it's got like marks in it from the sides of the thing. That is cool. It looks like it's like, I don't know, it looks like something that's had layers and layers of paint, and you can almost see with the metallic copper in the background that it maybe was metal at one time, and it's got layers of paint in the background. Does that not look really cool or what? So that's just, and it looks like a piece of canvas, or it looks like a piece of something. Like it definitely doesn't look like cardstock anymore. The way it feels is very canvassy because of the canvas surface that we used. But yeah, that's just badass right there. Really cool. And then of course our other pieces we made, which we didn't layer this one up, but you know what that looks like. When you layer up that one, you get, oh, this one stuck together. Whoops. You get this when you layer different colors together. And if you start with black, you'll get a similar type of thing, except it'll be this, which is really cool when you layer this one. So next, like, try it on the black with a piece of burlap. That looks really cool. So it's just really fun things you can do to get some texture without using a lot of like things like modeling paste or texture paste, with just being able to use your paint and some stuff you have lying around. So I definitely hope that you will give it a try. Here's another one that we did. And here's the one with the rubber bands. When you do it with different colors with the rubber bands, you know, go back with different colors, it looks really cool too. So I hope you'll give this a try. And if you do, make sure you post some pictures in the group, which the link is in the description below. The Pink Poodle Pack Creative Playground. Yeah, definitely post some pictures. This is definitely my favorite. You're going to see me do something with this one. I'm definitely going to do something with this because this is really cool. And I definitely don't want that to go to waste. I won't waste any of them, but this one's badass right here. I might make this into a journal cover. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, please make sure you subscribe, like this video. Next to the subscribe button, there's a little bell icon. If you click that, you will get notifications of when I have new videos and when I go live, which I go live on Mondays, Monday nights at 9:30 for Mixed Media Mashup, and Friday nights at 10 p.m. for our pajama party, which are a lot of fun. These are live streams that you can participate in and chat with me and hang out and see what I'm doing and participate along with whatever I'm doing. It's kind of like keeping each other company. It's just a lot of fun. So I hope you will come check those out if you haven't already. And yeah, so I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Make sure you do what you love and love what you do and be nice to people. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.